I'd like to call the January 26, 2023 Committee of the Whole meeting to order at 6:56 PM. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Allen,
Here.
Mayor Murphy,
Here.
Mr. Miller,
Here.
Mr. Burchett,
Here.
Mrs. Witt,
Here.
Mr. Doherty,
Here.
Ms. Marcus.
May I have a motion to excuse Ms.
I'd like to make
Marcus?
a motion to excuse Ms. Marcus.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Allen,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mayor Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Burchett,
Yes.
Mrs. Witt,
Yes.
Mr. Doherty.
Yes. Okay, council has received a copy of the January 12, 2023 Committee of the Whole meeting minutes. Are there any changes or corrections? Hearing none, the minutes are approved as submitted. Okay, well, discussion, Finance Director, do you have anything?
I have nothing, thank you.
City Manager,
I have no items, thank you.
Mayor Murphy,
Item, thank you.
Law Director.
Thank you. I have one item that's a requested executive session with no business to follow at the end of this meeting for matters pertaining to employee compensation of public employees.
I'll make a motion that we have executive session after this meeting.
Okay, you've heard the motion. Roll call?
Mayor Murphy,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Mrs. Allen,
Yes.
Mrs. Witt,
Yes.
Mr. Burchett,
Yes.
Mr. Doherty.
Yes. Clerk of Council?
I have nothing, thank you.
All right. Okay, we'll go into a discussion regarding entertaining the EDGE grant agreements.
Yes, that one's mine. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about this. As you might remember, going through the flurry of activity we had in the fall, we sponsored 2 EDGE grant agreements. The EDGE program is a process that the county puts on using tax dollars to fund projects that are in the area. We proposed and sponsored Fuyao Glass for $750,000 and Electropack for $120,000. Both of those projects, I think, were important. We talked about that as we came through the fall, and they were approved. As part of the process for facilitating the EDGE grants, we play a role as a kind of an audit or facilitator for getting the grant dollars into the business's hands based on their commitments on job creation and investment into the area. So having those 2 grants awarded by the county to us, we have to take some final steps to get that taken care of. So what we're looking for is approval and assistance in setting up agreements between the county and the city, and then a corresponding agreement between the city and the receiving companies. In this way, they're allowing us to kind of, again, go in, see that they're accomplishing what they committed to, and then making sure they're taking care of that. So in that, once the projects meet certain thresholds, we fund the committed amount of money. In this case, 50% of the money goes once the construction is done, 25% of the money goes once the job creation numbers reach 50%, and then the last 25% is funded once the 100% of the job creation commitment is taken care of. So what we're looking for is legislation that will allow the city manager to enter into these agreements. There are 4 total, 2 for each one of the grants, 1 upstream and 1 downstream. And then further, we will need a supplemental appropriation of $20,000 to complete this. We underestimated going through the budget process that we would be awarded the full amount we asked for. We asked for $870,000. We got that, but we only budgeted $850,000. So that's the request, is that we move forward with legislation and appropriate ordinances. Oh, sorry, I think that's me. Apologies for that. But that is what will get us in line for taking care of these grants and facilitating the projects that are going to take place over the next couple of years. So that is the request. If there's any questions, I can answer those for you.
So tonight, we only need one motion for the grant agreement, not the 20,000.
No, I would, and I want to clarify something as well. Oftentimes, we have always done supplementals if we're fortunate enough that a prospect comes forward and pursues EDGE grant dollars. If we get that, then we also end up doing a supplemental because we never really know where that's going to fall. We don't know how successful we're going to be in any given year. And that is historically how we've handled that as well. We try to budget a certain amount, but if we get a much bigger project that comes along and we're successful in a bigger grant, then obviously we need to come ask for supplemental. Also understand that these are pass-through dollars, so essentially it's nothing on us, right? We go and verify when certain invoices are met, parts of the project with Montgomery County, provide that paperwork to them. They tell us it's okay. Excuse me. We then provide payment to the company, and then the Montgomery County turns right around and pays us back. So we're kept whole in the whole thing. But what we would need, and actually I have a question for the law director on this, is we would ask for legislation for the supplemental. And then Martina, do we need 4 different pieces of legislation, or do you think there can be one piece of legislation that authorizes 2 agreements? Like Mr. Eisenbrown said, the upstream and the downstream, or do you suggest that we end up having 2 for Fuyao and 2 for Electric Pack?
I went back and actually looked, and we did this in 2019 with Tyler Technologies, and we
Yes.
did both agreements under one resolution. So I think
We
we could
did.
do the
Okay.
2 for Electric Pack with one resolution, the 2 with Fuyao with one resolution, since they're both interrelated.
Okay. And then we would then also just need the support for the $20,000 supplemental, which again, at the end of the day, we're kept whole, it's just passed through.
Then I'll make a motion to do the 2 for FEOC and the 2 for electric pack, plus the $20,000
So, yeah.
appropriation.
You've heard the motion. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mrs. Witt?
Yes.
Mr. Burchett?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mayor Murphy?
Yes,
Mrs. Allen?
Yes.
Mr. Doherty?
Yes. Well, that concludes tonight's business. And looks like there's no one appearing before council that I see. Unless, Don, you want to go up? So, we will move on to staff reports. Fire Department,
No report, sir. Thank you.
Police Department.
No report, thank you.
Okay, Community Development,
Nothing else besides that? Thank you.
Building and Zoning. Right. And Clerk Council,
I have nothing, thank you.
all right. City Manager,
I have nothing, but I actually would like to ask Tony. So if you guys haven't heard, many of you attended the grand opening of Miss Betty's, and they unfortunately have already closed down. But Tony is aware of someone else wanting to open. Can you talk about that, Tony? There's another.
I think Matt may know a little more about than I do, but there's a Mexican food truck.
Right.
The owner of the Mexican food truck is moving in there. He's going to start with his food truck until he gets the restaurant ready, and then he's going to open the restaurant.
Yeah, and
you know which food truck, the one at
This-
Shopping Center?
It was
or the
on
one-
Springboro Pike
Yeah.
in front of Cashland.
yeah.
that's why.
Seemed to be a
that's-
popular one, yeah.
That's why I told Tony it's pretty popular, but when I was out driving the city today, and maybe you saw it as well, there were burrito and taco banners up in
Yeah,
front of the building
right.
already, and I'm like, we better tell council, because you're gonna think Miss Betty changed their menu or something like that.
They already have one in West Carrollton. That
They
food
do.
truck has a place in West Carrollton.
Oh,
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah, down from KFC.
okay.
So
I didn't
this
know-
will
I
be
didn't
their
know that.
second location.
Wow.
Hmm.
Okay.
Well, great for them, but I don't really know what happened to Miss Betty's. I know several of you attended the grand opening. I just wanted to let you know that they didn't make.
Getting good reviews.
Yeah, well. That's, I didn't have anything else.
All right. Law Director,
Nothing, thank you.
Finance Director,
Nothing further, thank you.
Mrs. Allen,
Nothing to add, thank you.
Mrs. Witt,
Nothing, thank you.
Mayor Murphy,
I have nothing, thank you.
Mr. Miller,
Nothing further, thank you.
Mr. Burchett.
No report, thank you.
Okay, I have no report. We will now adjourn into executive session at 7:06 PM
No business to follow.
with no business. Is there no business?
Just come back to
Yeah.
close the meeting as well, too.